Hello, and thank you for joining me at the second unboxing video for Runika and the Six-sided Spellbooks. The first video did not go so well. Finished it, thought it was great, and then the video corrupted. So, this here is the second. I've already punched out everything in this box. I've kind of put it back in the way that you'll find it when you first open it, so you can have a look there. But hopefully this video goes better than the first one. So, first, to introduce you to the box. This is designed so that on all four of the sides, you can show it off in whatever way you normally like to on your shelf. So this side is actually large enough to fit next to the Lucidity box if you prefer to keep your different publishers together. And then inside the box, when you first open it, you are going to find all the tokens on a punch card, which, as you can see, I have pre-punched. This leaves enough room in the top here, so you will see with the 5th player expansion, if that is your choice, you'll be able to fit everything in the box. If you don't have the 5th player expansion though, I would suggest holding on to this, putting it underneath the black insert. That'll just lift it up enough so that everything goes flush with the top of the box and nothing moves around in transit. Underneath that we have the tutorial comic, which is a read first kind of a dealio. In these pages, it takes you through step by step how to play first couple of tutorial games in a fun kind of way, teaching you slowly more and more rules until by the end you are doing all the runes, playing a full game, and have hopefully learned all that you need to know to play. Underneath that, you're going to find the rulebook. You've probably seen this many a time, but additionally to what you've seen before is the Luniorn expansion, which was part of the stretch goals of the Kickstarter. A page of rules variations, which are kind of house rules, official house rules, I suppose. I'm all happy for you to have house rules if you find that you want to play a game a different way. I'd much rather that than that you didn't enjoy the game. So if you want to run through these rules variations once you've played the game, if there's something that you're worried about with it, then these should address pretty much everything that's been raised by backers and reviewers in the Kickstarter, including simultaneous play, a quicker drafting phase, a quicker playing phase, and there's a fun one there which is playing with secret runes, which is actually what Runika was at the very, very beginning of playtesting, but it changed to what it is now. But if you want to go back to what it was like at the beginning, then there's a rules variation in there as well. And then at the end there is a section on single-player campaigns. So this was also added during the Kickstarter, and those single-player campaigns allow one person to play. You'll be able to solve 4 runes as part of a puzzle, or 20 runes as part of a long, ongoing campaign-style play, which is pretty cool, quite tough. But I encourage you to see if you can beat it and how high a score you can get. Now, underneath those rule books in this beautiful plastic insert, which, can I just say, this is one of those things that I suppose a game designer cares about, and mostly before I saw my own, I took for granted, but all the bits of this box, I can make myself. I could go to my local print shop and print them out on cardboard and then cut them out. The player boards I could glue to cardboard. These black plastic inserts, seeing this just makes me think, wow, this is actually a game. So the fact that we were able to put together enough during the Kickstarter to fund the molding costs for this has really, I don't know, it feels like an actual game now, and hopefully you feel the same. Now anyway, to move away from that soppiness, underneath that black insert you'll find your player boards, and they are stuck in face to face. That is because these are lifted a little bit, so to make sure that they work nicely and they sit flush with each other, you'll just want to face them towards each other. Let me see if I can capture that, like that. And then you can just insert them in one at a time, and that'll fit them back into the box. Now if you have a 5th player expansion, what I would suggest you do is when you have all 4 of those in the box, you put your rule books in, and then the 5th player just goes on top. That way this little flush bit here is going to be with the top of the box, and your rule books aren't going to get damaged or dented or anything like that from that slight raise. Put that aside for later. Anyways, so these amazing looking inserts, each has one of the characters. There are some funny little things and art posted up for each one of these. Felix here is all about taking post-it notes. Runika is taking detailed notes on the actual style of magic casting. Diego's making these super cute little drawings in the margins of each of the professors. And Aya is a bit of a foodie. You can see a couple of coffee stains up there. There's some crumbs around the bottom. And the final one, which is Jean in 5th player expansion, has a whole bunch of scratch marks in there. A couple of hairs around the page. Very much like a cat has been using this book. So each of these player boards is on very thick card. They come with one of your elemental discs, and that simply sits on the player board, and then it rotates around this central disc, and that's how the game functions. Now, speaking of those discs, everything has moved around in place, which is not a good sign when I'm making a video about how everything will move around in place. But to be fair, I was turning this box upside down and around and all over the place. Now, underneath that last board there, you will find everything else for the game. So, here it all is. Now I've punched out all of the tokens, and I have put them back in. All of the large 25mm or 1-inch tokens go in these chambers here, and then all of the 1-point tokens, which are the 20mm ones, go in there. The dice are going to start separate, each in their own little bag. Underneath those is the bag itself, which has this lovely school logo on it. And when you have put all of those dice into the bag, so this one actually has 100 dice because it has the 5th player expansion in there, then they do actually fit nicely back in here. Let me just push that down and then wiggle it around to flatten it out, and then that will fit in right there. The little maple 1st player token sits over here in a corner, and that's this lovely chunky token printed front and back. And under the elemental discs we have the larger tarot cards, which includes the 4 turn summary cards here, and each of the professors, including the Luniorn expansion. And each of these also has their solo mode on the back, which you've probably seen from the Kickstarter. Now underneath there, there are all of the smaller cards. These ones are in a little beautifully sort of runically designed hole. These are going to be in one little plastic case when you open it. I would suggest when you actually do put them back in that you put them into this bottom section here. That way if you are standing your game on its side, then they won't move all over the place. If you are sleeving them, however, you do have two compartments here, so you can put your sleeved cards back in the box and they will fit just fine. Now these include the rune cards that you've seen from the Kickstarter. They include the Mastery rune cards, which you've probably seen and been horrified by in the Kickstarter. And they also include the final merit cards. So each of these is individually designed so that it's a bit of fun, really. So you could get 2 points here for the best potato salad at the class picnic. And there are little crumbs over there. There's one in here that is taped together, and I think it's, there it is, for causing the fewest explosions. And of course the merit card is taped together. So we've had a little bit of fun in designing these ones. And thank you very much to the backers who suggested all of the different ideas for those. So, putting it all back together, I'm going to tuck those in there. As I said, if you've sleeved your cards, you can tuck them in both chambers. The larger cards just fit in there. Once again, they do fit in there sleeved. Don't forget your first player token. All of your elemental discs. So you're getting 4 in there, but it does, if you get the 5th player expansion, fit a 5th as well. And there is some room in the top here so that if you have sleeved your larger cards, then these will not push up beyond their little slot. Now, once your dice are back in there, you can put all of the cards back in, as I mentioned. Just make sure that you are putting them one face up, one face down, face up, and face down, so that they will lay flush. Like I said, your rule books, and then your 5th player. And that all tucks away. Close the box up. And there you go. So this is coming to you inside a shipping box, and we will have these beautiful protectors on both sides there to keep its corners nice and protected during the journey. If you got the 5th player expansion, then you will get that in a separate container, probably taped to the box. And if you have any problems with that in shipping, please let me know. But yeah, we're in the home stretch now. Everything's being manufactured. In the next 2 weeks, we should complete manufacturing 100%, and then everything gets put onto a boat to Australia, a boat to Germany, and a boat to the US. From Australia, we'll be going to New Zealand and Australia. From Germany, we'll be going to the European Union, to the UK, and to the rest of the world. From the US, we'll be going to Canada and to Asia, so Japan, Singapore, kind of that region. Why? Because it's cheaper to go from the US than anywhere else for those areas, and quicker, bizarrely. So Australia might get a little bit before everybody else, just because of how close we are to all of the manufacturing processes. Anyway, I don't want to waffle on too long. I hope you enjoyed that. It was certainly interesting doing it a second time around. You probably got saved from a couple of minutes of me just slowly punching out a punch board and trying to think of things to say while I was doing that. So possibly count your blessings on that. Anyway, thank you again for being a wonderful backer, and I hope this update is helpful and that you enjoyed it. If you have any questions about any of this stuff, please do drop something into the comments, whether on the Kickstarter or on this video, and I'd be happy to answer it. Bye!